Hello there YouTube, this is the Rogue Gem player here, and I'm coming at you with a Gem Knight deck profile with a little bit of a spice. If you longtime viewers of the channel will know that the first deck I ever put up was Gem Knights. The current iteration of Gem Knights I don't like. I don't like the fact that it is basically Gem Knight FTK. I used to like it, but now it's basically the same 60 card, same 30 card decks. So I thought I'd come with something very unique, and since we've gotten some new support a long while back in the form of the new Gem Knight quartz and things like that, I thought I'd bring you something new. It's definitely unique. It's by no means competitive in any way, shape, or form. So I thought I'd let you guys know right up front. So let's get right into it. So, the only normal we play in the deck is 3 copies of Gem Knight Lapis. Is the only vanilla I play in this deck because Lady Lapis Lazuli is the only fusion I want to play in the deck. It's the only fusion that requires a vanilla as material. You can play Garnet if you'd like. I just don't like playing it just because its fusion is not really all that great. So there's that. We're not playing like the vanilla searchers like Unexpected Die and such. We're playing a very different engine, or very different type of engine that helps the deck with other things. 3 copies of Lazuli. It gets fusion off. You get to add a card back to your hand from the grave. You're using that to add the Lazuli back. 3 copies of Obsidian. If it's ditched, you get a vanilla out, and that's pretty important in order to keep the deck going. 3 copies of Gem Knight Quartz. So this is the new one. So the first effect is if your opponent controls a monster, you can ditch it to add a continuous fusion spell. So in the form of Scatter Fusion, which we only play 1 of, but when it is used as fusion material and sent to the graveyard, or used as or banished in that case, it recurs a Gem Knight from your graveyard, so which is important. So it allows you to add Obsidian back, which continues your plays. And then we're playing 3 copies of Gem Armadillo because it is a card that says I search a Gem Knight, and it's also a rock for Zirconia, which is important. It's also used for the Link monster. And then the last Gem Knight one-ofs are Brilliant Rose and Crystal Rose. This is a foolish. This sends from extra deck, but this can ditch a Gem Knight to special it, and this banishes a fusion to special it. So that's important to keep that in mind. But they do have their own uses. They are light, which is important in this deck, because I'm going to get that to you right now. We are playing 2 copies of Aluber and 1 copy of Fallen of Albaz. I am playing the branded package. More specifically, I'm playing Branded Fusion in this deck, which does conflict with Gem Knight Phantom Quartz. So you'll just have to pick and choose. Depends on how you want to play the deck. But I basically streamlined the deck to play only just the bare minimum. So there's that. It's also a fairy, so you can Branded Fusion into Lubellion, and then go immediately into a Rose Quartz if you need that. Also, because of the way the deck operates, you can also send a light monster. You can make some plays, go Branded Fusion, and then use Albion or Lubellion to fusion again, and that gives you more monsters. So for non-engine, 3 Ash, 3 Nib. These are the monsters you play. This is a light rock, so that's important. Can be used as fusion material, so keep that in mind. For spells, 3 of the Broken Fusion. This card says if it's in the graveyard, you banish Gem Knight, add it back to hand, and then it's also a poly. So what is in there like that? There's so many ways you can play this. You can ditch it for Lubellion, and then immediately add it back, so you don't lose any advantage. It's used as the discard outlet for certain cards, so keep that in mind. So I like it. And then 3 copies of Branded Fusion. So the idea is that this version of the deck is more of trying to OTK through things or establish a board, and the best way to do that is by basically summoning outside of his archetype, because it doesn't have really an Omni Negate, and it doesn't have really a big giant disruption that can be happening on your opponent's turn. So we use that with Mirror Jade, which also allows you to do other things, because you can hold this until you absolutely need it, and then summon, Lubellion, and then get a Mirror Jade, and now you have 2 big monsters on the board. And then the one Scatter Fusion, it's searchable, and if you need it, you can access it pretty quickly. Because if you're going to be using Scatter Fusion, your opponent already has a monster to disrupt with. So, 1 Foolish, 1 Triple Tactics Talent, 1 Crossout Designator, which because of the hand traps we are playing, we might as well play it. The 1 Called By, because why not? And then the only traps we have in this deck are 3 copies of Incarn, which is pretty good. For the extra deck, we are playing 2 copies of Lady Lapis Lazuli. You can play 3 if you'd like, but because you can only resolve one of them at a time, it's best to just play play the minimum copies you need, because especially if we're playing the branded stuff. 2 Zirconia, because it's a vanilla rock that's 29 attacks, so you can put big monsters on board. It's the only material you can use with Armadillo that actually does something. Seraphinite, the double summon does come up. Ruby, you summon this off of Lady Brilliant Diamond. Same thing with Citrine and Prismara. Prismara, yeah. You use Prismara with that. And then Rose Diamond, because it's Disruption. Master Diamond, Lady Brilliant Diamond, and then in the event that you do not play Branded Fusion, you do have access to the Phantom Quartz, which depending on your hand, you might go push full on just Gem Knight only, and then you go Branded the next turn. It also helps that it recycles your resources, which Lubellion also does. So for the branded stuff, we're playing the 1 Mirror Jade. You have to play it. If you're playing Branded Fusion in any way, shape, or form, you should always play that. Lubellion, because you do have the Dark Target, and the Albion, because in the event that you don't need, if you already have certain cards, you can go into Albion, send one of the roses, which gives you access to other things, and then you can use the Albion to go into Lubellion if you drew the Aluber. Okay, you can get 2 big monsters on board. Sure, this can't attack, but this at least pushes damage. So that keep that in mind. Also, it still gives you access to Mirror Jade. So that's the deck for the most part. It's a concept. I'm trying to fuse certain ideas, trying to bring out an image of what can these 2 things do. Branded Fusion is very splashable in fusion-based archetypes, because all you have to do is play a way to get to the Branded Fusion in the first place. So you can play 3 Luber and 3 Branded Fusion, and as long as you draw it, if the deck isn't severely hindered by it, yes, the Phantom Quartz does get locked out of this when you play Branded Fusion, but there are ways you can play the deck without needing it, especially if you've already gotten your full hand, because it does give you access to other things too. So let me know what you guys think. Comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.